We are moving on now to the other big focus at this hour. We are getting more inputs, in fact, on the story of a ban on Chinese applications in India. Remember, a massive decision taken by the government of India that has disapproved the use of as many as 59 Chinese applications. The IT ministry has invoked its special powers under Section 69A of the Information Technology Act to ban these mobile apps. Now, these apps include TikTok, the highly popular app, along with others like WeChat, Cam Scanner, and UC Browser. According to the government, the apps were prejudicial to sovereignty and integrity of India, and that it had intelligence inputs to suggest that the apps were compromising user privacy. And not just that, the government order also says the compilation of data, its mining and profiling by elements hostile to India is a matter of deep concern, which requires emergency measures. The government has now ordered for these apps to be removed from the Play Store and from other app stores in the Apple phones. That's the big story we are tracking at this point, and we have, in fact, inputs coming in now also from TikTok that has come up with a statement saying that they are going to follow strict compliance and are also going to offer to meet with the stakeholders to address any kind of concerns around this. TikTok further said that they have not shared any user information with foreign entities, including the Chinese government, and that they place the highest importance to user privacy. So to talk more about this entire issue, I have a tech expert. Joining me right now is Manu Zacharia, cybersecurity expert, with me on the show. Very good afternoon, Manu Zacharia. Thanks for joining us. I want to begin with the basic frequently asked questions, the FAQs, so to speak. How does this work when we say, when we talk about blocking apps? Who blocks it, at what level? And from the consumer point of view, the existing users, those who have already downloaded the apps, what happens to them?
Yeah, good afternoon. So basically, from an end user perspective, if you look at the Google Play Store, taking as an example, you won't find TikTok as of now. So that's the first level of action taken. And the second level of action is more from the telecom or the ISP side, where if they have the directive from the concerned authorities, they'll block the traffic. Now, there are debatable points here in the sense that if the traffic is encrypted, can the ISP see? That's a different technical question. But to answer your question, these are the two first level actions taken by the government generally. So basically,
yes, the ministry,
you cannot find
Mrs. Zacharia has made it very clear that it would... Okay. Carry on, please. Sorry.
Yeah, so basically, if you search for TikTok, if you want to install it, like you don't have TikTok on your phone and you want to install it, you won't find it if you're using the Google Play Store without any VPN or any other software, extra software. That is one thing. And if you already have, TikTok on your phone, it may not work, or it may not get updated to the next version, or it won't be able to communicate and all those things.
Okay, now talking about the larger idea behind this, what the government notification says is that the move will safeguard the interests of crores of Indian mobile users and also ensure safety and sovereignty of Indian cyberspace. So from the perspective of a cybersecurity expert like yourself, I want to understand, does that mean that all this while user data was vulnerable to misuse and malpractice? So in that sense, how much of the damage is already done and how much of it can be controlled really?
Okay, so I look at this from three perspectives. The first is the national security perspective. So there is a public sentiment, and we all know what is happening in the border. So there is a national security element, and we support the initiative by the government. It is like the need of the hour. But at the same time, if you look at the phone market, if you look at the mobile phone, India is the second largest market in the world. Everybody knows it. Out of 158 million phones that were shipped last year, 113 million, that is 113 million, are Chinese phone, which basically means 73% of the hardware that we use is Chinese. On top of it, we are only talking about a couple of applications, or let's say 60 applications. So the base itself is 73% is running on the Chinese hardware is the first point that we need to understand. The second is we all know
Okay.
that these kind of apps, for example, TikTok is being used. One of the point raised by most of the people is these kind of apps are used to, initiate campaigns against India. So blocking it in India doesn't stop this campaigns, because somebody can do it from, some other country and then spread the videos through platforms like WhatsApp and, YouTube and all those things. So yes, some action is required. We took the first action, but that is not
Okay.
the complete action. And also, if you look at, I'm not targeting any particular
Okay.
brand or any particular product, but if you look at Zoom, most of the development is happening from China. So why only selective? Some apps are banned, and why it is not? I think the government or the concerned agencies has to come out with why they banned
Yes.
XYZ app and why they are not banning XYZ app, so that there is a clarity in this. A technical report or a technical publication should
Yes.
answer these kind of technical questions.
Yes, so you made a very important point, because I think primarily what you're saying is that the dependence is huge, whether it is on Chinese hardware or software. And you're also suggesting in a way that this may be just the tip of an iceberg in terms of damage control. It's clearly not enough, given the proliferation and the prevalence of the dependence that we have. But I want to ask you another question about TikTok in particular, since of course bulk of the other apps are the lesser known ones. I believe most of them also have dubious data practice, but focusing on TikTok in particular, it has come up with a statement justifying and assuring its full compliance, saying that they are willing to talk to stakeholders, they're willing to plug the loopholes. Do you think that such an opportunity must be given to these applications?
I'm not the. This is more of a strategy or on the policy side, whether the decision to interact with the team and understand what kind of practices they follow. But from a technical side of this whole scenario, I would say maybe there could be possibly a technical team to review what the TikTok is internally doing and how they are taking the private data of users, and where it is being stored and where it is being used.
Okay.
Probably a technical committee can look into it. But just to add to this point,
Yes.
something very interesting. Recently, last 2 weeks, if you saw, there was a public campaign in India to ban or to boycott TikTok, and people started using a replacement for TikTok, which was in
Mm-hmm.
fact originated from Pakistan. So if we don't give the complete information, or if you don't give the right direction, the end users or the common people might end up in another application which causes more damage to the country than what TikTok or XYZ app was using. Posing.
Yes, that's a very important word of caution. What you're saying, that while you do this, we must also be aware of what kind of alternatives come in, and would that be even more damaging going forward, Mr. Zacharia? What do you suggest? Because if we look at data, and you would perhaps know it better, TikTok has over 610 million lifetime downloads in India, a little over 30% of its global downloads. So clearly, they have huge stakes, because of which the prompt reaction. Also, TikTok has over 120 million active users and a sizable number of employees in India. So going forward, what would be the right balance of things?
Yes. So in that context, keeping the current situation with China aside, talking from a privacy perspective, I think the government should talk to TikTok management and understand, let's say, something like what Twitter and Facebook is doing. If there is something against the country, what action they can take and how fast they can take, and what is their policy on this? Are they against XYZ things against the country?
Right.
So they need to have a clear understanding on this, because just by banning it, it won't help. The very simple example I can give is, everybody knows that porn is banned in India, but if you look at the statistics, everybody knows that India is the third largest viewer of porn in the world, irrespective of the ban that is currently in the country. So most of the people are highly tech savvy now. They know how to bypass these restrictions. In fact, these things become more attractive when it is banned. Actually, so for most of the people, they keep trying. Okay, how can I bypass this and all those things? So that's technical ban is not the solution. It is not that effective. We need to have a policy based approach also on how we can
Okay.
address the core concern, which is the privacy and national security.
All right. So some very important points coming from you, Mr. Manu Zacharia. Thank you so much for highlighting those issues from the perspective of cybersecurity and also for underlining the malpractices that already exist. Thanks for giving us your time. Well, we take a very short break here on the broadcast. News and updates continue on the other side. Stay with us.